Have you ever just stopped and thought about how incredibly fast our world has changed? I mean, not just in our own lifetimes, but in the huge grand scheme of all of human history. Well, today we're going to dive into that, the unbelievable acceleration of social change that has built this interconnected, globalized world we all live in. We're going to explore how we got here and what it all means for us today.
You know, when you look at our planet from space, you see this incredible web of light. It's really a testament to just how far our species has come. But this isn't just a story about technology or economics. No, it's a story about all of us and how we arrived at this moment in what is, frankly, a shockingly short amount of time. So, to really get a handle on the speed of this transformation, we have to completely reframe how we think about time. This first section is going to put our entire history into a perspective that is, well, it's pretty mind-blowing.
Okay, try this thought experiment. Imagine our entire time on Earth, all of it, compressed into a single 24-hour day. If you do that, you realize that almost everything we consider the foundation of our society, things like farming, cities, industry, all of it happened in just the last few minutes before midnight. And this timeline just makes it so clear. Human origins kick off right at midnight. For pretty much the entire day, 23 hours and 56 minutes, our basic way of life doesn't change all that much. And then boom, at 4 minutes to midnight, we figure out agriculture. A minute later, at 3 minutes to midnight, we build the first cities. An industrial society, the modern world, that doesn't even start until there are only 30 seconds left on the clock. Everything we call modern is crammed into that final half minute. So that begs the question, what was life like during the other 23 hours and 59 minutes? Well, for the vast majority of our history, the answer's simple. It was slow. The pace of change was just glacial. For tens of thousands of years, our social structures were incredibly stable. As you can see here, people lived in a few main ways, as hunter-gatherers, as pastoralists tending their herds, or in these early farming communities. Now, sure, these eventually grew into large civilizations, but the core ways people lived day to day stayed remarkably similar for millennia. It's such a stark contrast to the rapid-fire change that was about to come. And these maps really show that slow but steady march of agriculture. Look at 10,000 BCE. Hunting and gathering was basically the only game in town. Fast forward to 1500 CE, and it's been pushed to the margins. By the year 2000, it had pretty much vanished. Now, this was a massive, world-changing shift, but it took 12,000 years to unfold.
So what was it? What lit the fuse on that 30-second explosion right before midnight? Well, it was one single, world-altering development, the Industrial Revolution.
So, the crucial idea here is this. Industrialization is all about replacing the power of muscles, both human and animal, with the power of machines. Things like steam and electricity didn't just make things faster, they made a whole new kind of world possible. And get this, for almost all of human history, our numbers grew incredibly slowly. Right before this revolution kicked off, around 1750, the entire population of planet Earth was just 771 million people. That's less than the population of Europe today. And today, we're soaring past 7.7 billion. That's a tenfold increase in just those final 30 seconds of our human day. This population explosion is probably the single most dramatic sign of the incredible power that industrialization unleashed. But it wasn't just about having more people. As the historian David Landis points out, it was about creating things that were literally unthinkable before. Cameras, cars, airplanes, the very fabric of our daily lives was completely reinvented from the ground up. And the result of all this incredible, rapid-fire change is the world we now live in, a world that's really defined by a single, powerful idea: globalization. Now, globalization isn't just about cargo ships or the internet. It's really two things happening at the same time. First, you have the actual processes that are physically tying us all closer together, making us more dependent on each other. And second, there's this growing awareness, a kind of global consciousness, that we are all part of one single shared world. So what's driving all this? Well, it's a mix of things. We're more mobile than ever before. Our trade is global and systematic. We have international political agreements. And of course, the big one, instantaneous electronic communication, which has basically shrunk the planet. Okay, but living in this new global reality creates a huge challenge. How do we even make sense of it all?
How do we talk about a world that is at the very same time so deeply connected and yet so profoundly unequal? Right, this is the central puzzle of our time. For decades now, social scientists have been trying to come up with models to map out this new global structure, trying to make sense of the deep inequalities that exist inside our superconnected system.
One of the most common frameworks you'll hear, though it's definitely not perfect, is the idea of the global north and the global south. Now, this is not a strict geographical line on a map. Instead, the global north is generally a term for the world's wealthy, industrialized nations. The global south, on the other hand, usually refers to countries that are still developing, and many of them share a really painful common history. They were once colonized by the powers of the north.
And that history is absolutely crucial. This old British map, showing the highways of empire, really visualizes how these relationships were forged. This wasn't just about friendly trade. It was about power, control, and setting up a global system that had very clear winners and losers. And this leads to a really crucial argument, that colonialism didn't just leave behind developing nations. The argument is that it actively created the conditions for their underdevelopment by systematically plundering resources, and that wealth is what directly fueled the rapid economic growth in the West. This isn't just ancient history, it's a legacy that continues to shape global inequality today. Which leaves us with a final and pretty challenging question. Given this messy history and our complex reality, are broad labels like Global North and Global South even that helpful anymore? Or do we maybe need a whole new language to understand our shared, unequal, and constantly changing planet?